Hi, a very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss an opinion question. And this question is about environmental problems. Environmental problems are too big for individual countries and individuals to address. In other words, we have reached the stage where the only way to protect the environment is at an international level. To what extent do you agree to this point? So let's go in detail with the question. So the first sentence says that environmental problems are too big. So it means it cannot be addressed by individuals and individual countries. It cannot be addressed because it has become worse and worse because it's too big. An individual cannot change, cannot reverse the situation. A country cannot reverse the situation, and this is what it says. The second sentence, in other words, we have reached the stage where the only way to protect the environment is at an international level. The second sentence goes like this. We have reached the stage where the only way to protect the environment. See, only with an international approach, we can solve the problem of environment. Environmental problems can be solved only when we have international policies. A global approach is necessary to tackle the problems of environmental issues. So let's go ahead and consider this in our mind. So they are telling today's environmental problems can be addressed only if we have international policies. With individual policies or with the regional governments policies, it's not possible. Do you agree to this? Now, when we go ahead with the introduction, we can see it is argued that the crisis evolving from the environmental issues are too big. I can go with the challenges. It's argued that the challenges evolving from the environmental issues are too big and can be handled only at an international level, rather than by individual countries and individuals. So it cannot be handled by individuals and individual countries. It can be handled only at an international level. These are challenges which can be handled only at an international level. It cannot be handled by individual countries, or it cannot be handled by individuals. Although the argument has its own relevance in the current situation. So in the present situation, because that how it becomes relevant is that the environmental problems which we face today is something big. So what we have is the environmental problems which we have right now is too big to be handled. So in the current scenario, the statement which I said before, it has its own relevance. It's very important to go ahead with international policies to tackle the environmental issues. But I believe without individual efforts, the issues cannot be tackled effectively. But you know that the effectiveness of the solution, when we try to solve the problems, there will be a question how far this will be effective. So in order to make it more effective, it's needed. What's needed? Individual approaches are needed. So this is what my thesis statement is. I'm going to state that it is very important to have an international policy. And I'm going to state that without individual efforts, it won't be productive too. So actually, I disagreed to the statement because they have asked, this is the only way. Now, with international level approach, with international level approach only, we can now accomplish the goal easily. We need a combined effort. The effort from every regions, every country, every individual is very essential when we make an international approach. And this is what we are going to explain in the essay. We have a 2-paragraph essay, and the first paragraph is about the international approach. It's highlighted in yellow. Let's see that. The reason why a global approach has become a necessity in handling these problems is because of the extent of the environmental damage. So, what's the first reason why the global approach has become a necessity? The global approach has become a necessity because of the extent, the severity of the environmental damage. To be precise, the post-industrialized era had promoted consumerism, and as a result, the resources were overexploited. So we are highlighting the focus points there. So what they are going to say to explain the extent of environmental damage, overexploitation of resources. So the reason marketing strategies have aggravated the issue, has worsened the issue. We have simultaneously with the overuse of resources, we have these damages too. We have extensive damage by means of vast deforestation, land degradation, and various sorts of pollution. So the extent of environmental damage is highlighted there. After the post-industrialization, we have seen severe progress in the industrial sector. We have used our natural resources in excess, more than what we require. So the more modern marketing systems promoted false demands in the market and pursued, and it pursued the modern generation to buy unwanted and frivolous things. So it lures the customers with offers and discounts. So they are going beyond their own capacity of purchase with the marketing strategies. So when the purchase are more only, then only the resources, the manufacturers can make more profit. When manufacturers want to make more profit, they want to produce more. When they are producing more, the natural resources, the raw materials are overused. Surplus production requires a large amount of raw materials. So this modern marketing strategies has worsened the issue, that is overexploitation of resources, which we started in the post-industrialized era. So right now we have an excessive use of resources. So the nature is damaged extensively. So the end results are the end results are global warming and climate change, which are hardly local phenomena. So we have climate change, global warming. This is not occurring in one place. You have seen torrential rains in Gulf countries, and we have seen droughts in many tropical countries. We have seen floods in South American and South Asian countries. We have seen wildfires in the United States of America, California specifically, and a couple of years ago in Australia, hectares of forest land were burned with wildfire. It took around a month to settle it. So all these things are the end results of global warming and climate change. In short, an individual or an individual country can hardly reverse the situation. Right now, it's not possible for a country alone or an individual alone to tackle this situation. Now let's go ahead with the next paragraph. So the previous paragraph says the necessity of the international approach. Now let's go ahead with the other paragraph. However, the effectiveness of the aforementioned international approach is questioned if it lacks regional support. So when you don't have the regional support, the effectiveness of the international approach is questioned. For example, international summits on climate change and global warming are given much hype. You know, there are events which the world leaders unite around a table a day or two or three. They'll be having discussions and debates on global warming and climate change. They'll be framing policies and making decisions. However, each country has different environmental policies. So in my country, I do have a lot of forest resources. I just use it. I have abundant of forests. I am not concentrated in planting more trees. I just have timber business. Because a lot of people in my country are depending on timber business, furniture business. So that's it. So we do have regional policies there. So my country has a rich coal resource. So Australia is a country which has a large resources of coal. So many countries are importing coal from Australia. So as a part of the global summit, Australia should decide that they are not going to sell the coal because it adversely affects the environment. But Australia, the country, needs revenue. It has its own policies. Even though it is not producing, it is not causing pollution, it is selling the coal to China and India, two countries where they are in a stage of industrial progress. So each regional country has its own policies. So one country use their resource by their own, another country sell their resources. The OPEC countries, the oil producing countries, they sell oil, you know, they sell oil, and this oil only emits carbon to the atmosphere, a considerable amount of carbon. So each country has to take policies. It's different. When there is no consensus before between these countries, There is no unification. There is no uniform decision. So it makes difficult. It makes the solution difficult. The environmental problems cannot be tackled right now effectively. So similarly, each individual has to uphold the policy of reduce, reuse, and recycle in his mind, and then only the environment of his local community can be protected from the adverse effects, which are imminent. So as the adverse effects are imminent, we have to go ahead with the policy, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Then only we can solve the problem. To conclude, it's a fact that today's environmental problems cannot be mitigated without a global intervention. So it has become a fact, it is a truth that without global intervention, we cannot go ahead with the solution. However, I believe in order to make it effective, each individual and each country has to play their own active roles. So that's it. Now we have concluded the essay and we have written around 275 words. We have organized it in 2 paragraphs. One paragraph, the necessity of international approach. Other paragraph, we have to we can make it effective only by individual efforts. This is what we have discussed in the second paragraph, and we have concluded that in 2 sentences in the conclusion, and that is a complete answer for the question. Thank you.